I'm David Landry, but I'm reading Robert Creeley because although he traveled a great deal, he hated it. So most of his pilgrimages were internal, as in The Door for Robert Duncan. It is hard going to the door, cut so small in the wall, where the vision which echoes loneliness brings a scent of wild flowers in a wood. What I understood, I understand. My mind is sometimes torment, sometimes good and filled with livelihood and feels the ground. But I see the door and knew the wall and wanted the wood and would get there if I could, with my feet and hands and mind. Lady, do not banish me for digressions. My nature is a quagmire of unresolved confessions. Lady, I follow. I walked away from myself. I left the room. I found the garden. I knew the woman in it. Together we lay down. Dead night remembers. In December we changed, not multiplied but dispersed, sneaked out of childhood, the ritual of dismemberment. Mighty magic is a mother. In her is another issue of fixture, repeated form, the race renewal, the charge of the command. The garden echoes across the room. It is fixed in the wall like a mirror that faces the window behind you and reflects the shadows. May I go now? Am I allowed to bow myself down in the ridiculous posture of renewal of the insistence of which I am the virtue? Nothing for you is untoward. Inside you would also be tall, more beautiful. Come toward me from the wall. I want to be with you. So I scream to you, who hears as the wind, and changes multiply, invariably changes in the mind. Running to the door, I ran down as a clock runs down, walked backwards, stumbled, sat down hard on the floor near the wall. Where were you? How absurd, how vicious. There is nothing to do but get up. My knees were iron. I rusted in worship of you. For that one sings, one writes the spring poem, one goes on walking. The lady has always moved to the next town, and you stumble on after her. The door in the wall leads to the garden where in the sunlight sit the Graces in long Victorian dresses of which my grandmother had spoken. History sings in their faces. They are young, they are obtainable, and you follow after them also in the service of God and truth. But the lady is indefinable. She will be the door in the wall to the garden in sunlight. I will go on talking forever. I will never get there. Oh, lady, remember me, who in your service grows older, not wiser, no more than before. How can I die alone? Where will I be then, who am now alone? What groans so pathetically in this room where I am alone? I will go to the garden. I will be a romantic. I will sell myself in hell. In heaven also I will be. In my mind, I see the door. I see the sunlight before me across the floor beckon to me as the lady's skirt moves small beyond it. Robert Creeley in For Love. And the next reader is Marge Merrill.
From Buffalo.
From Buffalo, yes.
I hate to read meaningless poetry. No pearl diver could return from such depths. Metaphor, an invisible elephant eating peanuts from my chest, a dung heap at my feet. Iron beams cold, lacking color, flags to dance with the breeze. Call off your elephant. I will splash whitewash on brick. People on their way to buy peaches and plums will understand.
I'm Leah Zazulyer. I thought in honor of this house, I'd read a poem written about Halldór Laxness, who won the Nobel Prize in Iceland in 1956. He's dead now, of course. Officially a museum, his house, some 30 miles northeast of Reykjavik, is a modest stucco house where he still lives. Its ground punctuated by stone sculptures, earthen paths, and one large black Icelandic creature in a sunken pool just outside the living room window, facing seaward. Inside, much of Nordic design, weaving, embroidery, paintings, furniture, even some from as far as Peru, where he and one of his wives traveled, either before, during, or after his 1956 Nobel Prize, betwixt Lutheranism, Catholicism, communism, bohemianism, the plays, the poems, the novels, the lectures, and of course, the epic Independent People. Independent person indeed, planted on the side of an isolated hill from which his musician father's family farm is visible to the eye, surrounded by stretches of rural flat land slightly sloping from the other side of the road down the long valley framed by distant lava-frosted mountains. I'm taken in by his little entry hall, its intricate parquetry floor, his grandfather's hugely ornate floor-to-ceiling clock, looming as if a tree trunk had pushed up through the foundation, alive with colorful birds, curlicues, and branched leaves, from which melodies chime more than hourly time, as Laxness said, evoking the music of eternity.
Directional mic, so you have to speak.
You have to get right into it. Yeah.
Or it's not going to.
And it's actually on the lawn. They're going to take them down.
My name is Alifair Skebe from Albany. I'm going to be reading from a novel in verse that I started a number of years back on my own pilgrimage to find my great-grandfather, who was born in Slovenia and immigrated to America. The first part of it is a little bit of history about the Slovene. The free Slovenian proprietor began to sink into subjection and slavery. Prisoners of war and rebels were treated like slaves or livestock, which could be given away, traded, or sold on the market as working power. The Crusades quickened the flourishing trade between the Germans and the East on the Danube. The word Slav meant slave to the Germans and Italians. A red forerunner around the corner of the westbound hill past Hinier 21. These are not my family. Trudging, awkward, hoping. A man aside the forerunner. Go with him. Chapter 2. What? Go with him. He will show you your family. A strange country, a strange man. Don't talk to strangers. Don't take from strangers. Don't get in the car with a stranger. I get in the car. We're bounding over the winding streets and hill country. This is like the limestone hills of what I came to know as home in America, the hot south and rattlesnake country. How can one know the fanged head is not around the edge of the next bedrock? Carlos, Carl, Charles, boarded a train, boarded a ship. West Indies? No, America. No, picking coffee beans, picking steel, laying pipe for the trains. This is the place to find hope. Nothing is left in the old country, nothing here for me. I am bound for the new world, the endless possibilities. I will become American, forget the place of my birth. Fourth generation does not know this. According to the U.S. Department of Commerce, Bureau of Census, the third generation may be classified as Native American, neo-native, native, nay, American, ile nay, nativity, in bondage, born slave to a proprietor, freedom in a nay land, nay shun, freedom nation, freedom nation, freedom nay, freedom nay, free native, free nay. La nourriture, narodna beseda, glas naroda.
Wax the bottle.
Okay. Here at this place of pilgrimage, I am.
Into the
I was going to say, I am Stephen Baraban from Buffalo. From around 1975, one of my earliest poems, The Worlds, for Robert Creeley. It's an epigraph. Stephen, you have to think of the world as where you are, not some place you're going to get to. Robert Creeley in conversation. Yet shrewd Chaucer's tales are brightly inclusive of a place one needs to get to. As the years come to April, the sights of the ride, the stories of each man or woman, they feel the sunlight on their bodies and eyes, not closed on their journey toward the retraction, the stillness of a grave, altar, and more than one of 29 wish to obliterate the previous.
Hi, I'm Edie Abrams from Albany, and I wrote this poem called Courage, and I dedicated the poem to my friend Alan Casline with thanks. Courage. Detoured. A sweltering summer had liquidated me into lethargy. Now the spry September sunrise stimulated my adventurous spirit, so I detoured. No saplings here, but primeval forest on either side. The Norman skill, reticent in its recurrent run, brooked the oral repartee of the wood peewee's plaintive song and the wild turkey's cackle call. The jungle of rotund roots, a staircase up steep slopes, I huffed to secure a summit. A knotted rope anchored a precipitous decline. My feet cruised to a stop. There I beheld the Norman skill, no longer the narrow inlet where the dogs chill after hearty walks, or bound across the boulders to the other side of the stream. Here the river widens to the horizon, and I saw ships of old sailing, sails billowed, destiny unknown. I withdrew the vivid bin Alan had given me, cap ne'er opened, furtive as the future, gift of infinite imaginings. If I built a half moon and sailed away, would Alan's gift hold happiness at the other half? The romance within remained veiled there, where the Norman skill swelled seaward. Would courage bait me a keen compass? That was written in September 2009. Thank you.
I'm Bob McDonough. This is a poem of place, but a very different place. Community college in downtown Cleveland, between the projects on one side and the prison on the other. Resume. This is what I do. I teach plain English, reading and writing to men and women who hardly ever become doctors, lawyers, or even English teachers. I work to give them language, to handle their language. Introduction, I say, body, conclusion, strong topic sentences, transitions. I show them outlines like ladders, Hard work, they answer. Anything's possible. We succeed, or often we fail. I teach failure, too.
Let's go around the inner circle, and then we'll start in the outer circle with Marge and go back around.
I'm on it. Oh, okay. Oh, let me, well, you can still read now. What? You can still read now.
I'm Martha Deed, and I'm from North Tonawanda, which is near Buffalo. And I have a very short one. The epigram is longer than the poem. Bubble outside Washington. One of the reasons I love these bus tours, you know, you meet folks like this all across the country every single day. They are doing incredible stuff. Sometimes I think in Washington you lose sight of what exactly makes this country so great. It's not all the stuff that gets a lot of attention. It's that day-to-day courage, kindness, empathy that really make a difference. And that's President Obama in an interview with Chris Cuomo, August 2013. Black bus with tinted glass traverses empty streets to reach the vetted audience, guards frisked. Ryzi Zuckerman.
Thank you. I almost didn't remember. Thank you. I'm not entirely myself due to bronchitis. We're calling it poet's flu. It's been Anyway, am I talking into this thing?
No.
No, am I talking into it?
You're in the order.
Little information ahead of time. We had a guy on a fishing trip in Belarus, and he tried to take a picture of a beaver. And the beaver pounced on him and bit him in the thigh, and the beaver the bite severed a main artery, and he bled to death. So this is his defense. The beaver's homicide trial. Manslayer. The man was messing with the food supply in the river and approached the homeowner to take a photo. Oh, the look of surprise when the homeowner pounced on him and bit him in the thigh, severing a main artery. Death by beaver. The beaver's highly refined nose knew which of its ancestors the man's grandmother wore as a coat. Its home was foreclosed on by fisher boys who kicked apart the carefully crafted dam of Beaver Palace. Damn them! He came too close to its powerful jaw, his digital camera whirring like a saw about to cut wood, jeopardizing its job. The beaver was off its meds, had misplaced its glasses, mistook the photographer's leg for a pale fish. Defense rest.
I need somebody to give me the mic. She cannot stand up. I do not want to try to stand up right now. And
Judith Kerman.
since I also have poet's flu, I'd rather have the
Maybe I
ability
should
to
sit in another place. I'm healthy up until now.
Well, I think I'm on the downside of this. Okay. This is recently finished, although it's been lurking in my work on it pile for a long time. It's called Pumpernickel. We were talking about some things in the car, and I was reminded of this poem. It came home with Daddy on the train from New York, round and heavy with a hard mahogany crust, knobbly as stone. We ate it weekend mornings, dense and chewy, mottled, gray and tan, sliced thin with full fat Philadelphia cream cheese. They offer bread like that in Germany on hotel buffets, not what they sell here, flimsy and burnt sugar black, or damp black bricks of whole rye imported. Daddy insisted Stumers used no coloring, but I tried whole wheat, rye meal, barley, buckwheat, paged through recipes, flavored with cocoa, molasses, coffee, looking for that taste. Close, but no cigar. Online, you find a small universe of people who remember Stumers pumpernickel. Someone's posted a photo of a 1920s Stumers truck. They're out of business. Rye starter foams in the refrigerator, a responsibility like caring for a pet or visiting a grave. And here's Helen Ruggieri.
I guess I'll just hold it. I've got a little setup for this poem. It's called Looking for Corn Planter's Grave. I don't know if y'all know Maurice Kenny. He came to read in Olean. Helen Ruggieri. Helen Ruggieri. Spell it, you win a prize. Anyway, I told Maurice that we were going to take him out to show him Corn Planter's grave. Now, everything was in disarray because they were digging up everything and they were planning to, it was the Kinzo Reservoir, which first they had to demolish everything, then they dammed the river, then it filled up. And they had to move Corn Planter above where the water would come. Well, everything was turned around. All the landmarks were gone, so we drove around and around and around, and Maurice said, "Are you serious?" Yes, yes, I'm sure. Anyway, his poem is quite different. Looking for Corn Planter's grave. Twilight makes these rounded hills mock another continent, another world. The humpback islands rise from Anacre Sea, the dammed Allegheny River forms, submerging the western gate, covering landmarks we look for until the sun no longer shines, iridescence lost. We come to make obeisance, apology, at the marble pillar raised by the Commonwealth to honor the Seneca orator whose prophetic name brought Quakers to the tribe to teach the warriors how to walk behind a plow. Some say there's nothing under the monument. No chief's burial would be marked. Others say he is not in the land, but of it. All the sacrifices covered by the dark water, the Kinzo Reservoir, the marked graves moved above the proposed shoreline, now covered by fall grasses, nimbused by the raw gold of sunset, the end of geography. A brutal union of man and nature, now and then, us and them, war and peace, a savage compromise, an uneasy union, the opposites just out of ken, an empty hand grasping at the colors of sunset, evolution, natural lawlessness, change so slow, only mountains notice. Some tribes adopt you when you learn the language. They put the old one by and you become one of the people. Commend yourself to the new world. We only find what isn't there. We turn away. The land belongs to no one in the dark. And that's from an anthology that Mayapple Press did called Written on Water, Writings on the Allegheny River. And they're on sale. They're by two. They're small.
Okay, throw it to the other side.
John Roche.
Okay.
The outer circle.
Right. Yeah.
I always wanted to be an outer circle.
Everlasting.
Well, this is just a short one that was done down there during one of our October Just Poets retreats here. So it's called Bridge by Brook. Sun flirts with us hikers, searching for mushrooms, wasp nests, boulders, gravestones in the forest, any twigs that might build the nest of a poem. listening to jays and breeze and occasional car rumble through the hollow, whoop and holler of small boys walking on water, one named Maximus. Minimal are footprints, I hope, leaving Thoreau cabin and treehouse for the path down to the brook, unhurried until wind picks up, propels us forward to warmth of the lodge and the company of poets.
Shetty O'Brien.
Yay.
I'm Mark W. O'Brien, the poet formerly known as Obi Dude, not related to Prince. I'm going to be reading from a book by my friend Brendan McCormick, who lives in Dublin, Ireland. It's called Fuckle, and believe it or not, it actually refers to the focal. That's Gaelic for focal, okay? Not what you not what you were thinking, okay? Our concentration is going to be on pathways. So, this is about a pathway. Credo. The last words of Christ, while he died on the cross from the multiple wounds inflicted by the scourging and the hammered into soft flesh nails and the long buckling walk up that path of under that splintering cross, and then the lancing of his side by that thin, shanky blade. 2,000 years ago, the last words, Higgs boson, why have you forsaken me? And then he was at peace. Higgs boson, into your hands I commit my spirit. And the disciples asked, what does this mean, Lord? And he answered, we have to wait for the scientists to figure it out. We're all fucked up, and I'm out of here. And with that, he was gone, somewhere else, unknown to the Romans and the Pharisees and the king and the Caesar and the scientists. And thus was born the age of reason, and here we are, surrounded by Caesars and Romans and fat, blinded Pharisees. And we wait for God's particles to make sense of it all. This guy is phenomenal. I highly recommend it.
Next.
Okay, someone from over there.
I have a short one too.
Paulette Swartzfager.
Yeah.
Say your name into the microphone.
Paulette Swartzfager. All right, and this is because I'm late because work kept calling me, so I finally changed my email to gone away, don't bother me till Monday. So the title of this poem is I'm Off the Grid. So I thought it would work. I'm off the grid, away from high wires, temporal tightropes, toes above my earth, balanced by the weight of aging dreams. I explore old growth, thick and tangled, dark leaves, hard branches, the crack of night. I wake the whispers of the moon.
Guy in the back.
Larry? Larry?
Michael?
Michael Czarnecki?
Oh, what about Stephen?
What about Tom?
Stephen did. Steve.
You're up, Megan.
Steve,
Read at the phone.
you thought you were going to be able to... Oh, he thought he was in the third circle.
He's getting one.
The third circle of hell.
Is that true? He's from the third circle of hell?
At least he's not way the Ruggieri's. We're way ahead of the game.
We're just crawling with Mayapple Press books, aren't we? Steve has a Mayapple Press book.
Yes, I'll read this
Last year.
from the anthology, the Allegheny
From the anthology.
Anthology. Small town, small business. Claude McWilliams of the McWilliams Agency, Insurance and Real Estate, wears his usual outfit, white shirt, suspenders, and bow tie. as he grubs with the heel of his shoe at grass growing through the cracks in the sidewalk before his place of business.
Michael. You gotta say your name on there.
I think we ought to all try different voices.
Okay. It's great to be here again. Third Cloudburst, yes. All right. Yes.
Say your name, Mike.
Michael Czarnecki. This is called Along Mississippi's Shore. I stand by this great river, recall other visits, far northern Minnesota, Bayou, Louisiana, Delta, 30 days traveling its length. We are always crossing waters, traversing one shore to another, from Buddha bellies to outer world, child to parent of child, from parent to grandparent, one final crossing to who knows where. In those crossings, we sometimes pause, gaze down into flowing water, see an indistinct figure gazing back, shimmering, suspended in place as water passes under, over, through, touching, not touching, our image remains even after we turn away, cross over to that other shore.
People are exiting the building.
Invite people up and they walk out.
Elvis has left the building.
All right. I'm Craig Czury, and I'm happy to be here again, and I recognize many of you from last year. Along with the theme of which panel I'm on, which I'm an authority of. Pilgrimage, relics, symbols, and
Relics is good.
relics, of which I'm a relic of. I'd like to read a relic from my collection, my pamphlet packet, which is of ancient texts. I acted like I could read my friends' minds. There is a present coming to you, and it is heavy and wrapped. You need some string, a bowl, a shovel. Lay a bowl of apples on a tree branch with a string. Dig a hole in the path with a cardboard over it. Draw a picture of your pet and drop it into a jug. You need a sheet of cardboard covered with dirt. Then invite the Amish kids over. I was the one with the flashlight, acting like I was crying. Very ancient text.
Guy hiding behind the pole.
Charlie.
So you're going to walk over there and get something too?
No, I'm going to work out this grab while it's up here if I don't forget.
Okay. Don't forget to say your name.
Okay. I'm Charlie Rossiter. I live out near Chicago in Oak Park, Illinois. This probably has nothing to do with the stated theme. It's called I-74. Full title is Street Corners of America poem written on the road between Albany, Illinois and Albany, Indiana. We were on tour going to all the Albanys and getting two of them in the same day. And my home in Albany, Illinois, I consider too angst-ridden for the average audience who shows up on a street corner. So I tried to write another poem. Sunrise over the Rock River and all over America, people wake to face the day as if nothing were happening. While all around them, mountains are pushed up and weathered down, rivers flex and flow, new life is born. At a truck stop on I-74 outside of Kickapoo, someone is pumping fuel into a diesel engine that spent the weekend in Colorado. Someone's heart got broken last night in Mississippi. And before the day is over, someone in Cincinnati will fall in love. Someone's had enough and leaving home in Topeka. Someone in Tacoma's got the blues. It's a carnival out there, a casino. Which way the cards will fall is anybody's call. One thing's for sure, we're all in this together. At least I'm in. How about you? Come on, ante up and deal.
Is this okay with the mic?
Now get closer. Closer.
Closer? How's that?
Project. Closer.
Closer? I would rather project. I hate mics. I hate mics. No thanks. All right, we'll do the best we can here. I'm Pat Schwartz from Waterloo, New York. This is a poem from my book, The Crows of Copper John, A History of Auburn Prison in Poems. There's a short prose preface to the poem, but there's a preface to the preface. Some people know that Auburn Prison, which is now Auburn Correctional Facility, where I have been volunteering with inmate poets for a long time, is surrounded in the fall and even right now with a murder of crows. They've been coming back year after year for over 150 years, despite attempts to eliminate them. This poem is called The 83. On Christmas Day, 1821, under the Auburn Plan, which was an innovative proposal of incarceration, 83 convicts were marched into solitary and silent confinement. Less than a year later, 5 had died. 1 committed suicide by jumping over the prison wall when his cell was opened, and most of the rest had become insane. Because of what they had suffered, all were pardoned, and the Auburn Plan as such discontinued. 1. Some want stories. Best I can do, little schoolin' as I got, is scribble this stuff back of my Bible, letters like bird tracks. Right off, 5 died. 1 later, after his cell door swung ajar, jumped the wall. I guess the river took him. If ever I'd known their names, I'd put them down. Will's, of course, I did, him being my cousin, plus the name of the one who helped me once after I'd taken the lash, slipping me salt he'd bartered for, with what I did not ask, along with Tom whispered. Tough way to get a pardon. Now you'd think all the livelong day I'd rattle and babble on, instead of just this poor nib scratching, only 'cause I can. But no, what you choke down every day squeezes tight your throat. Besides, for some things, no one's got the words out loud. 2. Weighted with blackness in the cold silence of time, broken only by the tin tray's clatter, the great door at last swings open, the one I'd longed for, day-night after day-night, week, month after week, month. My rough tally scratched in dirt tells me this day marks the first birthday of the Christmas baby my woman birthed. Word of her got to me just before we were marched, one by one, alive, inside of this slow grave. Keeper pray, who sets himself to serve as architect of all our souls, figures I know where I ought to rot, God's hell. And that is where he thinks I'll take myself, now that he has let me go from his. Surely he'll believe it's only my own failure to redeem myself, boxed in here by cruelty keener than any brand or lash, that topples me now out into the light that burns and burns over the wall toward the sure and certain baptism of death. And yet salvation finds me, those dark, avenging angels. Soon as my poor eyes let in the light again, the ones I see beckon me to climb aboard the chariot their strong black bodies make. Wheeling aloft over the lip of the river, I do not fall, soaring now up to their own, on their cause. On I fly toward nothing but the blinding eye of that one true God who, beast or man, loves us all, and into which I will rise, I will rise.
Hi, I'm Claudia Stanek, originally from Depew, New York, currently living in East Rochester, New York. This is kind of a different angle for getting into exploring pathways. Sunday morning in broken November. Sabbath morning rakes my skin as I tour St. Mary's to learn how the names of dead Poles speak. Headstones shiver as I photograph rows of silent skis and witches. Eroded dates yield no parentheses of time. Squirrels' nails catch on tree bark as they spiral upward in chase. Crows idle on branches high above, signals the dead would understand if they had ears to listen.
Stephen DeRidder.
Say it into the microphone, please.
Okay. My name is Stephen DeRidder, and I'm from Rochester, New York. This poem I haven't really named yet, but it's all a quote from a mariner. The working name is Choirs Can't Hear. I gave up the oar for Titanic starboard decks. Soon, my rudders and crew for a frugal fleet of captains. I gave up the ocean. Only a wooden box of dry wood thrones, maps, magnetics, and flickers parade the hush, hums and hums, darkened from daylight and quickly refunded, like the women birthing their bastards, sons and fathers screaming at others. I gave up the smell of sea out of jealousy. I gave up yelling an open blue for rank and bile, a creaky brown. I gave up the boat and wave with the fortune from the box for a steepled box with many walls and a wheelie box to wall off wind, efflorescing onto the side, stable land, and looming mountaintops teaching nothing to Neptune but the redefinition of wall, of box. Country lines trace a coffin. Every yard's grave in just 6 feet could roll over me. I gave up the warm blue up and cold blue down, sounding the flatline horizon elementary, cardinal direction and sense for brown brain containers. Now I realize some walls are invisible on blue. Now I'll give all the boxes in the world away for 2 feet to walk this land and 2 hands to row myself against the river toward a pier by some wood that was never the goal of going home. Thank you.
I'm Nicolas Exkerson, and this is a pilgrimage within the neighborhood. It's called The Neighborhood. The plain house with a lot of trash beside the cane.
Okay, this poem is a little longer.
Who are you?
I'm Alan Casline. Called Cloudburst. Cloudburst is found in breaking through an energy pattern. One in Rushville had Stephen and me driving around looking at ditches. Wash of a 25-year event, 100-year event, 1,000-year event. Forget about it. Next day, in a cloudburst for over 100 miles, driving east, almost no visibility. Slow down, water hides all the landscape. Then change, clear sky in full highway speed. Couldn't outdrive the cloudburst, right with me all the way. Back in Cloudwatch. Back in cloudburst fury. One spot a deluge, washes over, gone and clear. Cloudburst moves, huge weather patterns move. Cloudburst a rip in the water-filled clouds, carried across continents, bigger than me. Next, Jane Sadowsky, right?
Bighorn Mountain Medicine Wheel. The clouds in Wyoming are wild horses churning up dust, their proud noses pointing west. We exit the van amid excited chatter. The road upward is long but wide, and we must walk from here. I take a breath, slowing my heartbeat, separating from the bustle around me. In silence, I turn inwards. I carry my village with me, all those I know and love. I see their faces before me as I walk. I feel the weight of their needs. To my left, a sliver of rainbow on the face of a cloud, a sideways burst of color, shimmering. I smile. Grandfather is blessing our journey. Farther upslope, a tiny creature barks a greeting from the rocks. It's a pika, little rabbit relative, with round ears and no tail that I collected once on a postage stamp. He delivers his message imperiously, then scampers down and away, disappearing into a cleft in the rock. We crest the hill. The medicine wheel spreads out before us. 28 stone spokes reach outward from a center cairn, like the rays of the sun, stretching to touch an outer circle 80 feet across. The outer ring is encircled again by wooden poles strung with rope, on which flutter prayer ties and prayer flags in the colors of the directions, the colors of all peoples, the colors of earth and sky. 800 years old, and the wheel is still holding prayers. 6 outer cairns entice us with their mystery. We walk sunrise around the wheel, adding our own ties, our own prayers, the needs of our loved ones to the loop, trusting in this power that surpasses generations. Little Gemma throws her pacifier into the circle, a gift for the baby ghosts, then cries when she can't duck under the rope to get it back. Don gathers us together and sings a Lakota prayer to the 4 directions. Everyone around the wheel joins us, moving to face each direction in turn, seekers and tourists alike, honoring the old ways. Outside the wheel, I find a tiny, tiny stone amid thousands of pebbles. Drop it, and it comes to hand again, so I know it is the one. When no one is looking, I slip it into my pocket to send to Uncle Manny. Maybe this tiny touch of the wheel will cure his small cell cancer. He knows the power of stone people medicine. I turn back toward the wheel alone, a sudden breeze lifting my hair, and the wheel turns. I drop back in time. No fences, no signs, no chatter of crowds. I feel the power of the wheel, the presence of the ancestors. I can almost see them moving on the paths. A hawk skrills overhead, its voice crossing the centuries. Someone calls my name, and I return. We head back down the mountain. Thank you.
Well, you know, Mother's Day is coming up,
And you could do something for your mother on Mother's Day, or you could do like my dad and let his mother do something for you. Mother's Day. On Mother's Day, we went to dinner at our grandma's house. She welcomed us with open arms and with my father's favorite foods, fried oysters and fresh coconut cake. Were there other items on the menu? Who could remember when there were tender oyster fritters with brown and crispy edges, a succulent oyster in the center, and fresh grated coconut on her high cake?